Good morning, everyone. Hope that you all are having a fantastic morning, day, since it's 8 o'clock, having a fantastic week. If not, I would hope that we can turn that around. I do not have video on this morning because I am, let me see here, because I didn't do my hair this morning. That's why I did not do uh, the video this morning, but you all will be able to get everything that you need from me in the audio portion of the call. It will also make it a little bit easier for me to upload once we are done this evening. So we're going to, before we do anything else, I just want to say good morning again. Hopefully you all have been keeping up with the videos that I'm posting in the Facebook group as we go through the Sales Success by Brian Tracy book. It's had a lot of very helpful information. If you do not have the book, I would encourage you, get the book, Sales Success by Brian Tracy. He has, I believe, 6 or 7 books in his success library, where it's persuasion, confidence, all of that. But the last chapter 4 that we were in were 3 and 4. We did personal management skills, the inner and the outer game. Today we're going to begin with develop excellent product knowledge. So we're going to do chapters 5 and 6 today. They're really short. I think both chapters totaled about 7 pages altogether. So the first one in chapter 5, develop excellent product knowledge. So I'm going to read a few excerpts from the book as we've been doing, and then I'll share a little bit on that, and then I'm going to ask if you want to chime in. If there's anything that you want to chime in and add, feel free to do that. As we go, just unmute yourself and go ahead and give your comment. So chapter 5, develop excellent product knowledge. And the very first line, the very first 2 sentences are pivotal. And this is what I believe, and you'll see why in a moment. Your level of product knowledge is the foundation of credibility, confidence, and sales competence. Without extensive and detailed knowledge about what you are selling, no sales success is possible. The very best salespeople know their products and services inside and out and can describe them in detail even without their sales material in front of them. So that is so huge to me, because when I say that if you don't have detailed product knowledge, there are a couple of things that we as realtors have to consider. We have to first think about the first thing that we're selling is ourselves. You have to know yourself. You have to know what your values are. It's going to talk about this in chapter 6 as well, when we start talking about strengths and weaknesses. But you have to know yourself. That's the first bit of product knowledge that you have to be excellent in. And the service that you provide. What service do you provide that is different than the other 170,000 realtors in Florida? Right? What is it special? What is it? What's unique about what you're doing? How you do it? Is it your personality? So what is it about the service? And then you need to know the second part of the product knowledge is going to be knowing real estate specifically, whether that is a specific locale, a type of property, a price band, whatever it is. It could be single family versus condos. What is it that you become an expert in? Make sure that nobody can ask you a question about your product or service that you can't answer clearly and persuasively. When you are clearly an expert on your product and how your product can help your customers improve their life or work, when you can clearly and thoroughly answer any question or concern that the prospect might have about what you are offering, and when it is clear that you have a deep conviction about the goodness and value of what you sell, your credibility goes up. So when your credibility goes up, well, first your confidence goes up, and then your credibility goes up. And once it said two words, deep conviction. If you don't believe, if you do not believe that your customers are better working with you than anyone else, then you are not going to be successful in this industry or in any sales industry at all. You have to know and believe and have a deep conviction that if someone purchases or a home or uses someone other than yourself, that they are missing out. And that is not arrogance, that's confidence, and that's conviction. All right. The first part after knowing and having deep or excellent product knowledge goes to know. Well, let me ask you: does anyone want to uh, offer any input on develop excellent product knowledge? Does anyone want to offer any input there? All right, so I'm going to continue flowing here. Now, on this develop excellent product knowledge, this is why I am such a believer in knowing the market stats, going out. And if you're seeing any of my social lately, you'll see that we're previewing a lot of properties. I mean, we're probably looking at 3, 4, maybe 5 properties a day. And part of that is for social, for the exposure. But a bigger part of it is so that I know the market. I want to know what's happening, the new listings that are coming onto the market, so that if there are questions asked, how does my property compare? And I'm looking at properties whether I might be working with a buyer or if I could be working with a seller, so I'll have an idea of the conversations that we should be having. If the property that we're looking at is too expensive, or if it's positioned correctly on the market, or if I have a listing and the property needs a price adjustment. Those are the types of things I get from looking at the properties. But then also, I know that since I'm at the properties and I'm using the videos, I'm always looking for things that some of my clients or prospects or customers might use or might like anyway, and I'll send those videos directly to them. So it's a twofold tactic. The next part, know your customer. Once you know your product inside and out, the next step is product knowledge. Oh, I'm sorry. The next step in product knowledge is for you to know your customer. Rather than trying to call on or sell to everyone, you should instead think through carefully the very best potential customer for what you sell. So this is the laser technique or the rifle technique, not the shotgun. So you want to make sure that you focus on a very specific demographic or specific niche and not try to sell everyone. This is the specialization. You need to know who your ideal customer is. For instance, I believe the majority of you know that I only sell condos in rare instances, and I prefer to be in a certain price point. So I communicate a very specific target market, a target customer. So say, Neil, what do you do? And since I want to be on the seller side and not the buyer, I specifically say I professionally market high-end single-family homes to the world and get them sold. That's me. So I specifically look for high-end sellers, affluent sellers. That's who I'm marketing to. That's who I'm targeting. And everything that I do with the videos, with the appearance, with the dress, with the conversations, the classes I teach, everything is targeted toward the affluent seller. And once you know who your target market is, then you can adjust every one of your marketing tactics to your product knowledge or skill. Everything will go there. There are 3 types of information that you must be clear about before you begin selling. The first one is demographic. Describe your ideal or perfect prospect. What is his age, education, occupation, stage of family formation, the previous experience with a realtor. Okay, that's the one. So the demographic. The second one is psychographics. This area is perhaps the most important breakthrough area in selling today. It refers to what is going on inside the mind of your prospective customer. What are your customer's fears, hopes, desires, and ambitions? What problem does your product solve? So that's a question I want you guys to ask: what problem does our product solve? When you are with a client, or when you're having a buyer consultation, or listing appointment, marketing consultation, whatever it is, you want to be able to identify. You're not just selling a home or helping them purchase a home. You are solving a problem. What problem will that home solve for your client, for your customer? I met with one of my clients yesterday, and for her, um, she is coming off of a year after having open heart surgery and having a heart attack and open heart surgery. So her property that she wants to be in by September, I'm solving the problem of independence. She wants to move out of living with family because now this is when she gets her new property, that will be a celebration of back of her independence. So that's the problem that it solves. So ask yourself that: what problem does your product solve? And that's not just the house itself, that's also your level of service. Does your product solve, or does your service solve the need of being fast, courteous, or to make someone feel respected? All of those. What need does your product satisfy? What goal does your product help your prospect to achieve? So the first one was demographics, the second one was psychographics, and the third one is ethnographics. Ethnographics. This is a newer area of sales success, and it is emerging as one of the most powerful. It refers exactly how and when your customers use your product or service. What role does your product or service have in your customer's life or work? For us, do they have a new job, and will the home be closer to their work? Or will it be in a different area where it might be able to afford the kids a better opportunity um, for school? These are the types of things that we always want to keep on the front of our mind. Now we're going to jump to uh, one thing, and before we end, the last thing in chapter 6 is identify your competitor. Who is your competitor? I used to be naive and say there is no competition. That was a lie, because I look up and in our industry there are 170,000 realtors, and then I think another 500,000 licensees who aren't realtors. So there is definitely competition. So who is your competition? Who sells a service that competes with yours? And for us, I know it seems like everyone sells real estate. So that's a question that we have to ask every day. Uh, each customer has only a certain amount of money. Every sales offer is an attempt to capture that amount of money from the customer. How can you offer and position your product and service as the very best choice at this moment? So we know that the marketing dollars are going out, the advertising is going out to take all of the allotted money for real estate from our customers. Right? How can we be the one to get that market share or that mind share? And then you need to know your customer's perspective. Why does your customer or prospect buy from your competitor? Why does your customer or prospect buy from your competitor? I can tell you, people think that it's because of the brand, or I mean the initial reason, or the main reason that people buy from other people besides ourselves is the speed or the rate at which they're contacted. That's the first. And then the second is consistent follow-up. That's why they buy, that's why most buyers and sellers use agents. The speed at which they and the rate at which they're contacted, and then follow up. So on this, as a student of sales and as a student of success and follow up, we know that I think it's 80% of people never make more than 3 calls, but 88%, or 3 follow up attempts, but 88% of all sales happen between 5 and 12. So you should be continuing to make those follow-up calls, emails, letters until they tell you we're not interested, stop, then send one more or make one more call, of course, and go from there. All right, chapter 6, analyze your competition. So I'm going to read you a bit from Sun Tzu's book, The Art of War, that Brian Tracy has put into sales success here. And this is about analyzing your competition. So just bear with me. The general who knows himself but not his enemy will win on occasion. The general who knows his enemy but not himself will win a few victories. The general who does not know himself and does not know his enemy will lose every battle, while the general who knows himself and knows his enemy will prevail in 100 battles. So it's one thing we already talked about, have extensive product knowledge, knowing ourselves, knowing the market. Now this is talk about analyzing the competition. So this falls right in line with what we were saying. This next two paragraphs, next two sentences, I want you to really analyze, take in, and think about. Your competitors have a simple strategy. Your competitors have a simple strategy. They wake up each morning thinking about how they can put you and every other company that offers competing products and services out of business. Your competitors have a simple strategy. They wake up each morning thinking about how they can put you and every other company that offers competing products and services out of business. I don't know how many of you believe that. Hopefully, you all do, because I know that's the way that I think. As the broker, as an agent, everything I do, how can I make it so that World Renowned Real Estate is the only real estate company in the world doing business? Now, they'll have to figure out the whole monopoly deal and all of that, but I wake up thinking that, and part of that, if you guys know me, once again, and if you had any conversations with me, part of that goes into the strategy of, making people allocate more money to advertising. If I see the misuse of the word realtor on bus benches, if I see them doing things in the MLS, I'll report that. So I'm waking up thinking, how can I put other people out of business ethically and morally, right? How can we increase the level of our service? How can we do something different that might be on the front end? What risk can we take that makes sense? Or instead of risk, what opportunities can we take advantage of to put other companies, other agents out of business? And in our industry, a lot of that is just persistence and longevity. Because we have, I think they say about 60% of our agents turn over, 60% of our industry turns over every 2 to 4 years. All right. Conduct a SWOT analysis on your competitors. SWOT is strengths, weaknesses, opportunities, and threats. So I'm a student of Jack Cotton for luxury real estate, and he has a twist on the SWOT analysis that I'm going to bring back for you guys in the next in the next call on Monday. So I'll do a little bit different, but it says strengths, weaknesses, opportunities, and threats. So if you haven't done that, if you're not familiar with that, then please let me know, and we'll talk about how to do a SWOT analysis on the competitors. And you want to begin with those who are very active. If you have agents or brokerages that are very active and doing a lot of business in your specific geographic location, or your price point, or your niche of property styles, whatever it is, you want to know what they're doing. You want to know what their strengths are, their weaknesses, what the opportunities and the threats are to your business there. Determine their strengths and weaknesses. What are the strengths of your competitors? Why is your competitor doing well in a difficult market? Here is an important life lesson. Always admire your successful competitors. When you admire your successful competitors and respect them for the intelligent things that they do to attract and keep customers, you are much more likely to learn and improve your own business processes so you can conduct your business in an even higher level than before. So many times in business, people and many salespeople make a habit of criticizing and discouraging their successful competitors. So then you'll never learn. So you want to make sure that you admire those who are just killing it in real estate or in sales and whatever you're doing, and then admire them and learn from them. After you consider or analyze or determine their strengths, You want to consider their weaknesses. Where is your competitor inferior to you? Why is that your customers buy from you rather than from your competitors? So I'm just want to speak on a personal level. Most of my people buy from me instead of my competitors, the ones who are working with me right now, simply because of my personality, because they connect me on a personal level, or I connect with them using, the uh, personality traits, and then making sure that I match what they're doing, or I touch on the key points that are vital and valuable to them. Or the other one is because I am perceived as an expert in international and global. So I know I've sat down and I've done a SWOT analysis of my business and the markets that I'm targeting. So that's why I'm working right now to go even bigger on the personality side with everything we're doing on social, letting people in to have a personal feel of me, and taking the product knowledge to a higher level. Do your own research. I'm going to challenge each of you to do this here. Call back your last 10 customers, the ones who bought from you, and say these words. I just wanted to thank you for your decision to buy from me. We appreciate it very much. We're doing some research. What was the one reason you decided to buy from us rather than buying from one of our competitors? And what you'll find is, I did that. What you'll find is that 8 out of 10 times the answer is going to be the same. And that's what your value proposition should be. So a huge one for me. And a lot of people, the compliment that I get when I go through the sales process, I would say probably 70% of my customers have kids. And I'm talking, they have kids that are in middle school or below. And one of the things, if you go through and if you look at the reviews that I have posted everywhere, they're going to say, oh my gosh, Neil took care of the kids while we were able to look at a home. He did this for the kids. He did that for the kids. For me, I understand that parents, when they're going through the process, that having to take their kids on the showings could be very difficult. So I just make sure that I make sure it's okay with the parents. Make sure I bring, little candies, little treats. We have the organic juice boxes. We have coloring books. So we're sitting down in the properties, and between properties, we're coloring, we're drawing, we're talking, having fun, playing with stuffed animals. And that's one of the things I know. They're like, well, the reason, and that's why they refer me to people who are just like them. So I know that 70% of my business that I'm having, and many of those are international or foreign buyers that still values family relationships, referral, and respect. All right. Call your non-customers. Second, call the last 10 non-customers, those prospective customers who decided to buy from your competitors. And you want to say, this is Neil. I just wanted to call and thank you for considering buying or using me to purchase real estate. I very much respect your decision to buy from someone else. Could you tell me why you chose to use them instead of me? And that is probably going to be more valuable than why someone did buy from you. You'll find out why they didn't. So one of the reasons why I lost a few high-end properties, high-end listings, was because I didn't have a seller book that was thorough. I did everything, and that's why we have our services book, and we're even going to improve upon that. That will be done by the end of the summer. The services book that we have, because I did not communicate in paper, printed form, something for the high-end seller to go through and look at. And this is what Jack Cotton refers to as CMAs by the pound. The heavier it is, the more value people attribute to it. And it was good. What we had was good. It just wasn't great. And so understanding that, that's why I went through and I decided to make a conscious effort to improve that. Now, the last one is, what about you? Now, analyze your own strengths and weaknesses. What are the strongest elements of your product or service as they relate to your customers' deepest wants and needs? All good marketing strategy is aimed at identifying where your competitor is superior and taking steps to compensate for that strength, and meanwhile, identifying where your competitor is weak and exploiting those weaknesses. So that is just the SWOT. That's the SWOT. That the strengths, weaknesses, opportunities, and threats. So make sure you analyze your strengths and weaknesses as well. Like I said, one of my strengths is my personality, my relationship building skills, going out, not being afraid to initiate contact or conversation, and making sure that I am relatable. Because the way I use that is I tell my buyers or sellers, just like it's easy for me to speak to you, I'm going to be telling any and everyone about your home or your property needs. I'm going to make it so people want to accept our contract, or make it where people want to offer offer contracts on our property or your listing once you go on the market. So that does it for the chapters 5 and 6 from Brian Tracy's Sales Success. Something from there that I would love each of you to do is think about your ideal customer, your ideal client. Who do you want to work with? And when you, like, very specifically, do you want to work with, like, for instance, I can tell you, I think that one of the best examples right now that we have on our team is Jonita. Jonita has chosen a very specific demographic and a client need, a location, all of that. And so she's honing in on that. And it's just a matter of time before we begin to see results from that. I know it just because of the strategy and the process that she's going through. So fantastic job. I wanted to tell you, Janita, great job there. Next to that, continue to learn, continue to have extensive product knowledge. I cannot say it enough. Experts get paid. Experts are sought out. And for instance, I don't know, I do want to go ahead and plug myself simply because I believe that it is noteworthy and commendable. If you guys saw or on my social, you saw that I contributed to the Tampa Realtors global issue for their magazine. And it's the Expanding Your Global Reach, the same class that I teach, the e-course that I'm designing, everything that started with Proxio and has gone to my understanding of international real estate and buyers and foreigners, and to a meeting that we're having with Terry Morrison next month, the author of Kiss, Flower, Shake Hands up in Orlando. So that's, so first check out the article, share the article on Facebook. I would greatly appreciate it. As the more shares I get, the more influence that I have, the more things that we can do. It looks like it's opening up opportunities that I did not know, or that I wasn't intentionally seeking, in terms of referrals already coming in from agents in the Tampa area to South Florida. So I'm very specific about the type of customer that I want to attract. I want each of you to identify who is your ideal client. Think about that, write it down. And then after you know who your ideal client is, I want you to look at everything that you are doing in your business. Is everything you're doing in your business targeted or focused on getting more of your ideal client? I'm going to repeat it over and over. I know that you've heard it. You might not believe it, but we cannot be a jack of all trades. We cannot be everything to everyone. We cannot sell every type of property. We can't do every type of transaction and be great at what we do. There's no way. The greats in sales or in anything in life, they're laser focused. So I know that a lot of times we look at getting a dollar here, or we're looking at commission. It might be more worthwhile to refer things out, get a referral fee, and then for you to, use that relationship from the referral to garner more business. Because anytime that you spend and you working outside of your area, is time that I believe that you're hurting your business. So that's what I believe there. All right, so that's going to do it. I'm going to get off of the platform now. Any questions, comments, concerns, additions, subtractions, comments. Please feel free to unmute yourself and share. Going once. Going twice. Hopefully you guys heard me. I don't even know if anyone heard me on the call. It may have just been me talking to a muted audience. All right. I hope you all have a fantastic day. Have a great weekend. Keep your eyes and ears open for people who are looking for world-renowned real estate services, whether it's buying and selling. Hone in on what your ideal client looks like, and then focus all of your energy into multiplying those clients or customers. Work on yourself. Look at the market. Look at all of these market reports that are coming out, whether it is from Douglas Elliman, who just released their second quarter 2018 report talking about how luxury condos are booming, but in South Florida, but that is really Palm Beach, and then they even go to Fort Lauderdale. Broward and Miami are still suffering, but if you look at the report, of course, it's all in how you frame it. So make sure you at least have an idea of what those reports say. Of course, your market stats, market analysis reports. Go through if there are expired listings. That would be a great place to start, going and looking for listing leads. Go through the MLS, look for those that are expired that have not relisted. And you might just want to see if the property was grossly overpriced, or if there were some marketing faux pas that were done, if they only had 2 photos, if the caption or if the remarks were written, sloppily. All of those are things that you can look for, and then you can go out and possibly try to reach out to the seller via mail, a handwritten note type deal, and make a connection. All right, that's going to do it for today. Love you all. Have a fantastic weekend. Be world renowned. All of that good stuff. Yada, yada. Love y'all.